Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is The Steak Bake and today we're going to be choosing our 26-man England squad for the World Cup in Qatar. Make sure you leave your teams down in the comments section down below. Tell me who I've missed. Have I missed anyone glaringly obvious? Would you have picked someone different to me? Probably. There's loads of players in this national pool. It'd be really interesting to see who you would have picked. And while you're down there, make sure you hit the like button and the subscription if you want to see more stuff from the channel. There'll be more World Cup content coming from this channel soon. Probably a reaction to every single England game, the team I would pick maybe. We'll see what happens across the tournament. But without any further ado, let's get into the video. One day after recording this video, Gareth Southgate is going to name his 26-man England squad for Qatar. The World Cup is going ahead despite its controversies, and England have a surprisingly good chance of doing pretty well in this tournament when you don't take into consideration things like heat and things like that. The squad on paper is very good. Plus, after being semi-finalists in Russia in 2018 and of course runners-up in Euro 2021 last year, the England men's squad will be looking to emulate the Lionesses' success when they won the Euros earlier this year. Could 2022 be the year that football came home in both of its formats? So today I'm going to pick the squad that I think could go all the way. So without any more further ado, let's get into picking the team. So here is the squad that Gareth Southgate has to pick from. There's a lot of players in the national pool, and these are players that have either been in the England squad in one of the under-21 setups or have been in the conversation in the past year or so. I'm sure there's a couple of people I've missed, but I've tried to include as many as possible that I thought could possibly even be within a shout. There are a few major injury issues for Gareth Southgate's side. Reece James is completely out of the World Cup, we would think. He did seem like he was going to be back about halfway through, but according to news sources today, he's been completely left out of the provisional shortlist. Ben Chilwell as well completely misses the tournament, and there's a couple of players that might be in it and might be not. There's players like Phillips, players like Kyle Walker, and players like Walker Peters as well. It also looks like Emile Smith-Rowe won't be back until January, so again, he is another person that's probably going to miss the World Cup. So I will be taking those injuries into account when I pick my squad. I may choose to keep some of them. I will probably bin off the ones that I definitely know aren't going to be in the tournament, but a couple of those names I think are really important for England's success at this World Cup, so we'll see if I name a couple of them. But before I pick the squad, I do need to think about what kind of formation I would want to play. If I was England manager, I wouldn't necessarily go with the 5-back straight away. My personal preference would be go for more of a 4-2-3-1 sort of formation, where you have 4 at the back, 2 holding midfielders, although one of them would be more holding for me and the other one would be a little bit more roaming. Then you'd have 3 attacking midfielders / wingers, a left winger, right winger, and a sort of number 10 sort of role, or a cam if you're talking FIFA terms, and then the striker up top. That's how I would probably set up my team if I was England manager. I think that gives us the best chance of attacking really well whilst also soaking up enough pressure, especially against some of the bigger teams in the tournament. As well as the 4 at the back formation, I would probably have a 3 at the back formation or a 5-back depending on your outlook, where you have 3 central defenders, 2 wing backs who would be heavily encouraged to get forward and support the attack, 2 midfielders to run all the space in the middle, and then a left wing, right wing and striker. So kind of like a 5-2-3 sort of formation. That is a formation that Gareth Southgate has used in the past, and I think it does England quite well, certainly if we need to push a lot of bodies forward and get a goal, but it shouldn't be our primary tactic. I think our primary tactic is better with the 4 at the back. So once we've considered the tactics, that kind of gives you an idea of what kind of positions I'm going to be needing. So as we work through, these are the kind of players I will be needing and how many of each type I will pick. Firstly, we're going to need 3 goalkeepers. That's kind of a standard at any tournament level these days. Then I'm probably going to take 6 central defenders. This is to kind of cover the 3-back and give at least 1 cover in every position. But I imagine the players that I'm picking towards the end of that bracket will also be able to play on the wing backs. The wing backs, I need 2 from each side. So 4 in total. 3 holding midfielders, although I imagine some players will elaborate on that position a little bit. I'm not going to say that they will be out and out holding. I may name them in the category despite the fact they can play box to box or move the ball forward a little bit better than some other players can in a holding midfield position. So more of a central midfield, I suppose. Then I also want 3 attacking midfielders. This is the kind of number 10 position that plays behind the striker in the 4-2-3-1 position. It's the middle of the 3, just behind the striker. I think I want 3 players from this position, but again, some of these players will also be able to play on the wing. Then I want 4 wingers, 2 on each side, and 3 strikers in the middle. That gives roughly 2 for every single position on the pitch, 3 in some places. I think that's the best balance. A lot of the positions that will be in addition, so I don't really need 6 centre-backs, but the centre-back will also be able to play right-back, for example. Again, the central attacking midfielder, they'll probably be able to go wide. I think that gives us the best chance of naming the best 26-man squad we can name. So, with all that in mind, let's get into picking the actual players. First up, it's the 3 goalkeepers, and I'm going to whiz through these because I think these are pretty obvious, and I think most people will tend to agree with me on the goalkeepers I'm going to suggest. I'm going to suggest Aaron Ramsdale, Nick Pope, and Jordan Pickford. Pickford, of course, has been the number 1 for a while. Aaron Ramsdale has recently been in the England team, but he sits on the top of the Premier League with Arsenal at the moment, and Nick Pope sits with Newcastle in 3rd. So there's 3 really good quality goalkeepers there. Only really Dean Henderson is possibly within a shout there. He's doing really well at Nottingham Forest at the moment, but I just think he misses out. I think he needs to prove himself a little bit more. I think Nick Pope is one of the best shot stoppers in the entire Premier League right now. I'd have him over most goalkeepers. His distribution needs work, but as a 3rd choice goalkeeper, it doesn't really matter. It's really an emergency if you're putting your 3rd choice goalkeeper in, and then I want the person who is better at making saves, and that is Nick Pope. On to the centre-backs now, and this is a little bit more of a controversial decision. There's definitely going to be players who are left out here, probably who Gareth won't pick and probably who you won't pick. And there are players that I won't have in my team that Gareth definitely will. One player that not many of us are going to disagree on is John Stones. I think he's one of the first centre-backs on the team sheet for England at the moment, and he has been for quite some time. His form for City is fantastic, and I think we're all going to pretty much have John Stones in the team, surely. Next is a player who was heavily featured in the 2018 World Cup, but not necessarily in defence. He was more of a holding midfielder, although he did play in the centre-back position. But recently he has become Tottenham's main centre-back, or one of Tottenham's main centre-backs. He's really established himself, and I'm definitely picking Eric Dyer for my England team. I'm picking Eric Dyer ahead of players like Harry Maguire, who isn't really playing for Manchester United at the moment. There were strong calls for him to be dropped recently. I don't think he is anywhere near the England team at the moment. I imagine Southgate will probably pick him just for loyalty reasons, but basically he shouldn't. We should be going with other players in this pool. Next up is a player who I felt like he fluffed his audition when Chelsea played AC Milan the other week. He got sent off very early in the game, caused AC Milan to lose the game. It's Fikayo Tomori. I think Tomori is an unbelievable centre-back, and it's such a shame that he didn't have a really good audition because I think he would have been straight into Gareth's squad if he had. However, he's performing really well for AC Milan. He's one of the best defenders in the league, one of England's best centre-half. He's quick, he can play in all positions across the back line, apart from maybe right back. He's definitely more pushed towards the left side, although he is right-footed. I think he's fantastic, and the future of English centre-backs, we should be picking him, Tomori. Then another player who I just couldn't leave out. Arsenal are doing so unbelievably well right now, and he can also play in that right full-back position if he needs to, or the right side of a 3, or in a 2. It's Ben White. Ben White is fantastic, and he's definitely in my team. My final 2 centre-back positions are a little bit harder. I want people who have versatility, who are going to be able to play right back and maybe left back as well. They can play in either the 3 back or the 2 back that I mentioned, and I think I need to pick 2 players that can do that. Firstly, I think I'm going to brave the injury of Kyle Walker. I think he's really important to England's team, certainly with his just rapid pace. He's so quick, he's unbelievably fast. I think when England get later into the tournament, or if England get later into the tournament, touch wood, when we come up against players like Kylian Mbappe, who are just going to bomb past and play in behind and things like that, I think we need someone like Kyle Walker to run back and cover, and that's what I would bring him for. He can play right back, he can play centre back. I'm taking him as a centre back, but because he's cover, he kind of covers multiple positions, so I definitely could see him playing right full back. The final centre-back is a little bit difficult to pick because my heart says that I should go with someone like Adam Webster from Brighton. I mean, my heart says it because he used to play for my team, Portsmouth, and I know that he can play all the way across the back line and is just one of the most underrated defenders in the Premier League. There's also James Tarkowski, who I think has been playing really well for Everton, a bit of a shining light in their team at the moment. Plus he gets along with Pickford, you know, having that little link up there should be good. But I think I need to go for someone who's played for England before and experience with this squad and recently as well, and I think I'm going to go with Joe Gomez. He can play right back as well. He's a very good centre back, usually plays on the right of a 3 but can of course do 2 as well, which is exactly what I need him for. I think I'm going to go Joe Gomez. Does mean I'm a little bit sad because I don't get to call up Webster or Tarkowski, or there's a couple of other, Mark Way for example, another centre-back who could be very useful for the team. It means that Tyrone Mings misses out, it means that Connor Cody misses out, and it means that Harry Maguire misses out. Some big names there, but I think I've picked the right bunch. Now we're moving into the real problem area of the team right now. Because of the injuries to Ben Chilwell and Reece James, left and right back are really difficult positions to pick at the moment. We'll start with the left side, and I think Luke Shaw goes straight in there at left back. He's the only out and out experienced left back that we have at the moment. Speaking of experience though, it was kind of suggested yesterday that Gareth Southgate was looking at Ashley Young to be called up. I'm not sure that's the right move. I want to go with someone much younger in that second left back position. I want to go with someone who can play left wing back more than the full back role, and I want someone who is playing regularly for their team and doing well at the moment. And the player that I am thinking of, it's Ryan Sessegnon. He's young, he's playing super well for Spurs at the moment. He got man of the match a couple of the weeks ago, got a goal, and I think a goal and an assist in one game. He was absolutely superb, and I think he could do the job for England. He's uncapped at the moment. I think this is my only uncapped player, maybe. I think it is. But yeah, I think he can go all the way for England, and he's 21, 22 now, so he's not at that really ripe young age. He's just getting into his stride. He's been given the chance at Spurs. Conte's playing him a lot more, and he's providing the goods. Sessegnon is my pick for second left back. Moving on from that slightly more controversial pick to one I don't think anyone's going to disagree on, because at the moment he's one of the best players in the Premier League. He is performing every week for Newcastle, and it's Kieran Trippier. This is onto the right side now. We're picking right backs. I think Kieran Trippier is our best right back at the moment, certainly of the fit ones, because unfortunately Reece James is unavailable. Trippier will be on set pieces. He can provide a wing-back sort of role. He can also do the full-back stuff as well. He can also provide cover to the left as well. And if we're in a pinch, we might need him to do that. I think Trippier right now is literally one of Gareth's first names on this 26-man squad. I can't see anyone not picking him, really. He's playing fantastically. The other right wing-back / right full-back position is a little bit more controversial. Now, do you pick someone who is inexperienced and hasn't done it before? Do you pick someone who is a little bit older? Do you pick a player who is out of form but has brilliance in them? I think you go with the latter there. I'm going to stick with Trent Alexander-Arnold. Now, do I think he's going to start for England? No. Do I think Gareth Southgate might leave him out of the squad? Maybe, probably not, but maybe. I think Trent is the right call if you want someone to come on in the 70th minute when you're losing a game 1-0 and bomb crosses into the box. Good quality crosses from the right hand side. I think Trent's your man there. I think he provides that right wing back cover, which we don't necessarily have apart from Trippier. I don't want Kyle Walker in a right wing back position. Kyle Walker is as a right back or a right centre back for me. Personally, right wing back is a much more difficult, much more attacking role to play, and I think Trent and Trippier is who you want on there. Let me know if you think something different in the comments. I know a lot of people will be, he's out of form, he can't defend. I don't really want him to defend, I want him to be an attacking wing back. So we're on that kind of lines with this one. And that is all my defenders. Let's move on to the midfield. Firstly, we're going to pick the 3 holding midfielder sort of position that I have. Central midfield, holding midfield, box-to-box midfield. I don't really know what you want to call these players. Some of them can do different things. But certainly one of the first names on the team sheet in that kind of position, and probably the second name on England's starting lineup team sheet in general, is Declan Rice. I absolutely love this man. I think he is absolutely fantastic. I think he gets into pretty much any squad in the Premier League in that holding midfield role, with the exception of maybe Manchester City. I think he gets into most European teams as well. The fact he's still at West Ham is fantastic. He's just going to keep getting better. He's their best player. Declan Rice is superb, and I think he's integral to England. He can defend, he can dribble, he can pass, he can have a long ranger if he wants to. I think Declan Rice is that real centralised cog in the England squad this year. Next to him is a player who is 19 and is already one of the best central midfielders in the world, and he will only continue to get better. He plays like a 29-year-old, not a 19-year-old. He has a mature head, he's calm, he's collected, he's sensible, he's a fantastic passer, he can win the ball back. Jude Bellingham. I absolutely adore Jude Bellingham. I think he's fantastic and will be the future best midfielder in the world, in my opinion. Certainly in the central box-to-box, that kind of role, less talking about the attacking ones and the wingers. That kind of midfield does-it-all kind of player. Jude Bellingham is that man. Your Kevin De Bruyne's. I think once Kevin De Bruyne retires, Jude Bellingham is the man to fill that spot in world football as the best midfielder in that position. I think he can do it. He's wonderful, and I think he's going to do the job for England at the World Cup. The final of those three is a little bit more difficult. Do you pick someone like Jordan Henderson, who isn't really playing for Liverpool right now, but is one of those stalwart players who can come in and do a job off the bench, shores a game up, makes successful passes, is very sensible, calm, mature head? Or do you go with someone who's probably going to play that more defensive midfield role, or certainly can win the ball back a bit better? Although, I'm going to be honest, the person I'm thinking of also isn't really in their team right now, and they have been injured. And the other person I'm thinking of is Phillips. Calvin Phillips or Jordan Henderson is kind of the decision I'm weighing up here. Do I leave Jordan Henderson out of my entire squad, or do I take Calvin Phillips? I don't really know here. It's a difficult one. Calvin Phillips is due to be back pretty much today or tomorrow. He's rejoined full training with City and is expected to maybe play as a fleeting substitute appearance in their final game before the World Cup. I think with those kind of signs, I'm more inclined to pick Phillips. I think he is certainly a player who's going to play for England for a long time, and I think the more time he gets in the squad, the better, although we shouldn't really be testing things at this stage. The World Cup should be an established squad, but he has played for England before, and he is an established member of Gareth Southgate's side normally. So yeah, I think I'm saying I'm going to go for Calvin Phillips here, despite the injury. Jordan Henderson is a perfectly decent replacement here. I think if Calvin Phillips is then ruled out, I would go Jordan Henderson. James Ward-Prowse is a name that might be mentioned around this position. Personally, I don't think it's enough, especially when you've got arguably better set-piece takers in the squad with Trippier, with Trent Alexander-Arnold, with a couple of players I'm going to mention later. They're as good or better at the moment at taking set pieces, certainly this season, especially Trippier. I think I want Trippier on everything. I don't think I want James Ward-Prowse. I don't think he offers anything in the midfield that no one else does. I think he's just kind of a solid midfield player. He's fine. He's all right. Last year, I was fully on the James Ward-Prowse bandwagon, and he should have been called up to the Euro squad. He wasn't. I was baffled that he wasn't. But this year, I think I'm going to say he's not quite good enough and not quite what England need. I'm leaving him out. Then we have the three players that I would suggest would play in the hole, in the number 10 position, in that central attacking midfield role. And I think the first player I'm going to name there can also play on either wing as well. I'm going to say Phil Foden for that position. Again, he's been unbelievable for Manchester City this season. He's maturing as a player. He hasn't really done it for England yet, but I think he can, and I think this is his tournament to prove himself. If he doesn't do it now, he's going to start to get left behind by the other amazing players that are in this squad, such as Jude Bellingham, for example. But right now, he could be the golden ticket that England need. And also, he plays on the left, he plays on the right, he plays through the middle, he can do anything. He can play false 9 if you really wanted him to, but Phil Foden is definitely one of the names on this team sheet. Then a player that 12 months ago I wouldn't even had near the England squad, but over the course of 2022 this man has scored loads of goals, he's got loads of assists, he's pretty much the only thing that's good about the Leicester side at the moment, and that man is James Maddison. I would definitely take him to the World Cup. He's playing too good right now, he's too in form to leave out. To be honest, I'm pretty close to starting him here. I'd probably then put Phil Foden out on the left wing or something. I don't think I'd drop Phil Foden for James Maddison, but I definitely would be picking James Maddison right now. Then in the final central attacking midfield position, it's a little bit harder. Do you pick someone who has been in the England squad before, who perhaps isn't playing as well as he could or should? Or do you go with someone completely young and new, like Michael Olise from Crystal Palace, for example, Jacob Ramsey from Aston Villa? More exciting players who will probably be in the England setup soon, but aren't really there yet. I probably lean towards going with things you know for now and trialling those players in things like the Nations League and qualifiers. So I think that probably leans me towards the Mason Mount pick here, but I completely understand that he hasn't really done it for England and he's been given plenty of chances. I really think this is Mason Mount's last chance to establish himself into the World Cup side, and I'm taking him as a backup here. I'm not taking him anywhere near the first team. He's third choice in that central attacking midfield position, and only one can really play there if I even play that formation. If I don't play that formation, he doesn't get anywhere near the team. I'm not going to put him on either wing, that's for sure. Gareth Southgate has tried that in the past. I don't think he's good enough for that, but I do think he's just about good enough to get into my team right now. I think this is where people will probably differ. I think people will be like, no, definitely not Mason Mount. And then a few people, probably Chelsea fans, will be like, yes, Mason Mount, first name on the team sheet kind of thing. Although, personally, I think Gareth Southgate is just going to pick him anyway. But I think his form would suggest that he won't be as easy a pick as Gareth Southgate will make it. I think he will go, and I think I'm going to take him as well. I am taking him, but it's close. There's a few players in that position, certainly, that are kind of putting pressure on that position right now from the lower teams in the Premier League. It's a close one. I'm going Mason Mount. And that is all of my midfielders, so moving on to the wingers and strikers, or the forwards. Now, here's where England have an absolute abundance of talent, from the kind of good Premier League player right up to the world-class player in these positions. We're going to start with the right side. We're going to pick 2 players from the right side, 2 players from the left, and then 3 strikers. Let's start with the right. First name for me is going to be Bukayo Saka. I think after missing the penalty in the 2021 Euros, I thought that he might decline as a player and not hit the form that he had hit that season that got him called up to that team. However, despite the racist abuse, which is ridiculous by the way, and the fact that he missed that penalty, he's just got better. He's got better. Arsenal are top of the league for a reason, and he is one of the reasons why they are. Saka is an unbelievable player, and he will play right side in my starting 11. Alongside him on the right, but of course most of these players can play both sides, I've gone with Raheem Sterling. Not really hitting the numbers that he was hitting for City while he's at Chelsea, but then he's being utilised in a very different way. I think he's struggling at Chelsea. I think he's struggled to settle in. I think he's struggled to get going. He's not really had that goal or assist success that we've expected from Sterling over the years. However, when he puts on an England jersey, Sterling is one of our most important players. I'm not sure I'm starting him in this situation, but I'm definitely calling him up. I'm definitely relying on Raheem. I think he can do it for England. His positioning is unbelievable. He's really quick. He can put a ball into the box if he wants to. He can pass. He can dribble. He can do the lot on his day. And I think for England, he has more good days than he does bad days. I'm definitely taking Raheem Sterling. Over to the left side now, and 2 players that I think probably will play understudy to Phil Foden in this position actually. But I've picked Phil Foden in that central attacking midfield for a reason. I wanted to pick 2 players in this position that are more substitutes or players that will play in other roles across that front 3 and do things for England. A bit more creative. So the first player I've gone with is Jack Grealish. I think despite him not being the unbelievable player that we had at Aston Villa since he's gone to City, he has started to really show himself as a cog in that Manchester City engine. He wins lots of free kicks. I think that's an underestimated skill in the modern game, wasting time, holding the ball up, that kind of thing. He can put a pass into the box, he can get an assist, he's been getting a few for City this season. I think he needs to be there. I think he really brings something, certainly off the bench. I want to see him when we're in the 65th minute or whatever and we're 1-0 up. I want to see Jack Grealish on the pitch. I want to go for that second goal, but also I want to waste a bit of time by winning some free kicks, you know, getting kicked, getting yellow cards on the other team, causing them problems. Jack Grealish is that man. The second name I've got in this position is also a striker, but I'm probably going to name him more on the left. He can play on the right as well, but I'm going to go with Marcus Rashford. He's looked almost like a different player since Erik ten Hag took over. He's been given that new lease of life and he's started to really get involved in that Man United team. I think he's great. I really like Marcus Rashford as well. He brings that ambassadorial role as well. He's kind of the figurehead of England, like the moral compass, the person who gets involved beyond their age. I think he's great. I think he's fantastic, and I think he brings that as well as quality on the pitch. He's started to get goals and assists this season. I think he's got 6 contributions or something so far in 14 matches. It's not bad, certainly when you're not that main man for Manchester United, but for England, I certainly think he can help out. Marcus Rashford is on the plane. Finally, we have the 3 strikers, and we'll come to Harry Kane in a minute because obviously he's in it, but his 2 backups I personally think are well above anyone else in this position. I don't really think, again, this is much of a contest. I don't think there's much argument for any other players in these 2 backup positions. They are backups. The player that I want in backup to Harry Kane is the person that I think is most like them. They can pass, they can hold up, they can head, they can dribble, they can shoot, they can score penalties. I think Ivan Toney is the perfect man to take as Harry Kane's understudy for this World Cup. I think he's great, and I think he's a little bit underestimated by some of the bigger teams in the league, but he's caused them damage so far this season, and I think he will cause some big teams damage in the World Cup. I think he's a natural born goal scorer. Get Ivan Toney on the pitch when Harry Kane's lagging a bit, and sometimes he does. He gets to the 70th minute and then Harry Kane goes a bit missing. Get Ivan Toney on, and I think he will do a job. The other player is a little bit different to the Harry Kane, Ivan Toney kind of striker. They're a little bit pacier, a little bit more about the skill and the finesse and the providing the right runs to allow other players in behind as well. And I think I'm a little bit surprised there's not more Newcastle players in this team, because Newcastle are doing amazing this season, but Callum Wilson needs to be on the plane as well. He is a goal scorer. He always has been. The injury thing is a problem, but as third choice striker, I think he should be okay. He's going through the World Cup playing as this kind of different dynamic that England might bring. Let's say we're chasing a game and we need to get a goal quick. You leave Harry Kane on, or you bring Ivan Toney on, and you send on Callum Wilson with them, and you play 2 up top, and you let things happen in behind as well as in front of the centre-backs as well. It's a different dynamic that I don't think Harry Kane brings. Sometimes Raheem Sterling brings this kind of energy, or Bukayo Saka, or, you know, players like that. The running behind kind of thing. I think Callum Wilson does it perfectly. I want him in Qatar. I want him on the plane. I want him in my team. The final pick is Harry Kane, of course. I'm not going to leave him out. God no. He is in the absolute form of his life right now. 11 goals in 14 games for Spurs so far this season. He's going into a World Cup as the former Harry Kane. The last few times we've seen him go to a tournament, he's been coming back from an injury. And it's been a little bit like the first couple of games of the tournament. It's been like, are you there, Harry? Are you there? This time, I think he's going to go game 1, goal. Game 2, 2 goals. Game 3, goal. I think that's how Harry Kane's going to go. And I want to see it. I want to see Harry Kane lead that line. Because right now, he's one of the best strikers in the world. With the exception of maybe Haaland, Mbappe, and Messi right now. Although Messi isn't really a striker. But like, in terms of output right now, it's Harry Kane so far this season. He's up there, certainly for England. I think he's great. I think everyone thinks he's great. He's a great striker, world class, absolutely world class. Get him on the plane to Qatar, give him the captain's armband, and let's bring it home. So that is my team for the World Cup. What do you think? Do you think I'm right? Do you think there's players I've missed out? I mean, almost certainly you have opinions. Let me know in the comments down below whether you think it's a good team as well. Leave me your team. Tweet me them as well. My Twitter's down there and all my other social medias and stuff. And that is going to be the end of the video. If you have enjoyed the video, please leave a like and a subscription down below. And if you want to see more from the channel, and there will be plenty more during the World Cup, as well as some fun gaming videos over the next couple of weeks that I hope you really enjoy, please leave a subscription and come back. I would love to have you around. We're trying to hit 100 as soon as possible. I've finally got my URL at the Steak Bake now is my YouTube URL, so you know how to find me. There's no excuses. There's no excuses for you not finding these videos. Watch them all. Tell your grandma, tell your friends. It's fun. We're a great bunch of people here. Come and join us. Come and join us on Twitch as well. Twitch.tv/the_steak_bake. Hopefully I'm getting that changed as well soon to the Steak Bake rather than underscores. That would be nice. We'll see whether that comes through. But at the moment there's underscores. Click the link down below. And that's going to be the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you in the next one. And remember, be kind to one another. See you later. Bye-bye.